you are that Ferrari, and what you put into your body matters a ton. This is how to fuel your body as a high school baseball player. And before we get started, my name is Evan Mendoza, and there's really 3 nutritional mistakes that are killing your performance out there on the field. A little bit about myself. So I played 7 years of professional baseball, 3 years at the D1 level, and even competed in a World Baseball Classic. And now I help high school baseball players play at that next level. So let's talk about nutrition and how to go about it the right way. So first and foremost, this is going to be our typical plate of, food, right? Whether that's breakfast, whether that's lunch or dinner. All right. So the basis of how we can go about our nutrition really comes down to how we dissect the plate, right? So if we go right here and cut this plate right in half, what does basically half of the plate, what is it supposed to be covering, right? And in reality, what this should be is, especially as athletes, we need to have that protein, right? We need to have that fuel each and every day to be able to really build muscle, grow those muscles, so that way we can be bigger, stronger, and faster. Of course, just eating healthy, I think it's really important to notice or make a note. You guys can't just take the gym serious without taking your nutrition serious. But on the inverse, you can't take your nutrition serious and think that you're going to get bigger, stronger, and faster. So these work in unison. So, and sorry for using big words. I studied aerospace engineering, but anyway, so as far as if we cut this now into 2 little halves, and honestly what I'll do is make this a little bit smaller than half, and clearly that didn't work because I think I left a little bit right there. But this area, this is important where we have to have carbs as well, right? Carbs are like rice, pasta, sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, anything that's very starchy. And this is going to give us that energy throughout the games, right? I always use this rule of thumb, even when I was in high school, even when I was in middle school, even. I would love to eat a ton of pasta, basically until I got so full. And I would do that typically the night before I had a game. So that way it gave me these good energies that were long-term energies. And I'll get into kind of how there's good carbs and bad carbs here in a second. But one thing that I think it's also important to note is there's this small little section. I'll leave it up to you guys to think about what that small section might be as far as on your plate. But outside of that area, we also want to make sure that we have this pink area, which is where we have to have a color, right? So a color like green beans, peas, broccoli, carrots, beets, this is basically any type of color. These are going to give us our tiny little nutrients that help us stay healthy as well. So ideally, if we split up our plate with a protein, a carb, and a color, we're going to be on the right track. But as far as this little black section, this is where we need to include some fats. And fats are a good way to basically make sure that we're taking care of our heart, we're taking care of any ligaments, any joints. And as you progress basically further and further in this game of baseball, so I played 7 years of pro baseball, like I mentioned, with the St. Louis Cardinals and the San Diego Padres. And it's the little tiniest areas that separate you from the rest of the competition when you're at that stage. When you're at the high school level, it is so easy to separate yourself. And I don't want to get that misconstrued, but what that ultimately means is your average high school baseball player isn't doing this, right? They're not taking the game seriously. They're not taking their nutrition serious, their protein intake, their weightlifting program, their sprinting program, their mindset, right? They're neglecting a lot, right? So it's really easy, in my opinion, and it will never get any easier to actually separate yourself from the rest of the competition. And the reason I can say that is because in college, the competition will be better. And the difference between you and the next guy becomes that much smaller. Now at the professional level, between you and that next guy, it becomes that much smaller. And again, speaking from experience. So having a good healthy fat, that's like an avocado. If I could just simplify it like that, that would be how I would go about it. So let's talk about the most generic, and by the way, the most Dominican lunch, dinner, whatever the case may be. A lot of Latin America will do this. So for protein, chicken, right? That's a pretty common protein right there. For carbs, we'll do rice. Beans, and kind of a combination of color and beans, color and protein, I should say, are beans, like black beans, brown beans. Think about your typical Chipotle. And then right here for the fats is an avocado, right? So that is your typical great healthy meal. It's great for your body. And this is how you should really be taking care of your body for every meal. So when we have a thing like breakfast, breakfast is a little bit different because breakfast, you want to be a little bit heavier on the carbs. Yes, it's still going to be important to have those proteins. Think eggs for proteins. Carb is going to be like a bagel. Color is usually the most difficult one for breakfast, but think about like getting watermelon or strawberries or any type of like mango or any type of cantaloupe, right? Any type of color will do for breakfast, and that helps with those nutrients. So if you think about also on what probably a lot of high school baseball players will do is cereal, right? Cereal's not going to give you all of these nutritional values that protein, carbs, and color will provide you as an athlete. And in professional baseball, there's a quote that I'll never forget because I love Ferraris. It's always been my dream car. But basically, you don't put normal fuel into a Ferrari, like regular fuel. I don't know if you high schoolers have pumped gas yet, but there's usually like the regular, there's like the medium one, and then there's the ultra fine grade, like the highest and the most expensive one, right? So if you have a Honda Civic, you put the regular gas in because it doesn't really matter. But if you have a Ferrari, you want to take care of that. You want to make sure you're putting the right fuel into that supercar. This is where you have to have that identity shift, because in high school, in college, in pro ball, you are that Ferrari, and what you put into your body matters a ton. So if we again go and switch over to lunch, that's where again you can do your typical Chipotle meal with an avocado. That's going to help with those healthy fats. For dinner, same idea. Any type of protein that's going to include steak, chicken, salmon, eggs. Carbs, again, like I mentioned, rice, sweet potatoes, pasta, color, any type of color. So hopefully that helps, guys. I've been getting a lot of questions, especially on my lives, about how to take care of your body as a high school baseball player. And yes, I get it. Some of this takes time, but that's why not many people do it. A lot of people won't make the sacrifice today, and then tomorrow they'll complain that they're not where they want to be. So if you're a high school baseball player and you have no problem making those sacrifices today because you ultimately know that they're going to lead to greater things in the future, then what I want you to go ahead and do is click that first link down below in the description to learn a little bit more about my remote training program. It's called the Triple Play. You can go ahead and apply to work together, and then basically from there we'll see if we're a good fit on a Zoom call. So feel free to go ahead and do that right now, whether you're a parent or a player of a high school baseball player. Go down below in the description to apply to work one-on-one with me right now.